Well, my first guest is John Demartini, and a lot of you might have heard of John through The Secret. Dr. Demartini, thank you so much for being on this call.
Thank you so much.
John, as you know, the theme of our telefundraiser is the power of giving. What specific incident changed your life when you gave to someone else?
Well, I always say that when you open your heart to a bigger cause, you get a bigger life. And I think that sometimes when we contribute to other people and give a catalyst to other people to get on and do and fulfill their dreams, this is what happens. And I started doing that with various people, particularly teenagers, because somebody did that for me when I was a teenager. So I think that's the biggest thing that's happened to me. I started helping teenagers and assisting them, and not just giving them always money, but giving them sometimes advice, sometimes giving them opportunities to go to educational classes, but sometimes a combination of everything. That had the biggest impact on me because, that's obviously touched my life. Paul Bragg, when I was 17, did the same thing for me, and my life is where it is because of that.
Can you tell us that story?
Well, I was living on the North Shore of Oahu in a tent, and I dropped out of school when I was a kid, and I was 14, and lived on the streets, and wanted to go surfing, and went to California and hitchhiked there, and then eventually found a way of panhandling money to go to Hawaii, and was there and surfing and kind of bumming on the beach, and almost died of strychnine poisoning there, which is a long story. And something led me to a little class that a 93-year-old wise man was giving, and he gave me the most inspiring presentation, and then I got to study with him for 3 weeks. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And so he basically believed in me when I didn't believe in me, and gave me the opportunity to learn something when I didn't know I could learn. So, yeah, I've dedicated my life to education ever since.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so just thinking back, what specific incident changed your life when you gave to someone else?
Well, I just realized that, you can touch a person's life. I think that you come alive when you help other people come alive. And I think that's what happened to me. I just got inspired, and I thought, well, what else can I do in the world? It's just continued to grow. We've been blessed to reach millions and now literally 2 billion people in one way or another, and I'm just very grateful for that catalyst.
Now, I remember the last time we met, John, you told me a story of a young boy in South Africa who came to one of your seminars. Would you like to share that story?
Which one? I don't know which one I did.
Looking after his siblings.
Oh, okay. I know exactly which one now. Mm-hmm. Well, what we had is we had a boy who was from the township of Kailicha who had mother and father die of AIDS. And he was 14 years old, and he attended a program I did at the Sheraton Arabella Hotel there in Cape Town. And I didn't get to meet him the actual night I spoke, but I saw him 3 months later. And the talk I was doing is that no matter what you've been through or what you've experienced, you can live a dream and that you can live prosperously. And anyway, he listened to that, and he changed his perspective and started saving a portion of his income. Now, here he was only making $200 a year, not even $16, $17 a month, and he decided he was going to start saving 15% of it. And so he had 9 brothers and sisters. He lived in a shack. The top of the shack I actually visited and looked at it, and you could see the light outside, so it wasn't even a complete cover. He had to cover it in plastic. And he lived on kind of an irregular ground with 9 brothers and sisters inside this thing. Because his parents passed away, he was responsible for this family. But he started saving 15% of his money and started to dedicate to try to find how he could serve more people to raise his income. And this was September of 2006. I saw him February when I went back there. I saw him later in the year, and he was in October. In December, he was able to put $20 down on a $200 new shack that had a roof in it, electricity to it, near the water in Kailicha. And his dream was to buy that house for his brothers and sisters, and he did it. And so that was an inspiring story. And he's gone out and he's increased his income now, and he's saving his money, and he's trying to see if he can do 1,000 kids to do the same in his township. So that's an inspiring story to see what's possible to change your life. I got the opportunity to visit him at his place there, take a picture and everything else. So he gave me just as much a gift as I think I gave him. So, yeah, I was blessed he came to that program. He was able to come for free, and we gave him that inspiration, and he's now done the same. He's passing the torch and carrying it forward.
Well, just to go back to the theme of this teleseminar, John, as I said, it's all about the power of giving. But what we're really trying to do is give effectively. Now, I remember when we spoke about this young man, you mentioned that somebody wanted to give him something for free. I can't remember what it was and you stopped?
Yeah, I was sharing the story at another location. I think it was in Canada or someplace. Mm-hmm. And a lady, raised her hand. She says, I'd like to have that boy's address. And I said, why? She said, well, I would like to send him some money. I said, don't you dare. This young man is now learning the power of being accountable, being responsible, having dignity, finding out he's capable of doing things. I haven't seen him. I was just in Cape Town. I just came in this morning, actually, from Cape Town. I didn't get to see the boy this time, but I talked to the people there from Kailicha, and I didn't get to get any data on him to what's the status now. But I believe, from what I saw last time, that he's more than tripled his income. And if we rob him, give him entitlement, not encouragement and empowerment, he'll rob it. He'll expect that. So he would rather have his own accountability to know he's accomplished things. So it's one thing to give money and to catalyze and to seed things, but it's another to give him also an education and accountability so he has accountabilities with it. And this is so important to make sure you don't just make them depend on you, but to make them accountable and to grow so they build culture and feel great about themselves.
That's amazing. And you know, John, that everything that we are doing at the moment is supporting the Africa Alive Education Foundation.
That's important. That's the key, is education. That's why I'm dedicated to education. There's nothing greater than knowing that you can rely on yourself and you can find your way through your own problems and challenges. And like I say, if you feed them for a day, that's one thing. You feed them for a life, that's better. And you might have to do both initially, but there's nothing more rewarding than to see their eyes tear up with the realization that they can do it on their own now.
That's amazing. Thanks for that one, John. Well, why is giving so important for the future of humanity?
Well, I think it's like you got to plug the plug into the electrical socket to get the electricity. You got to start something with a seed crystal, and somebody has to start the thing in motion. If there's no giving to start the thing in motion, nothing happens. So giving is the catalyst that opens hearts, that gets people in motion and makes them look at the new possibilities in their life. I give them a lot of my time. I don't always give money to people because sometimes people just want money for the sake of, an easy ride. And sometimes I'll say, well, if you want the money, you got to do this and this and this and give me some accountability here. And then what they do is when they do it and they get the money, they get even more fulfilled. Then they keep looking for new ways of earning it. And I'm a firm believer in that. My dad taught me that when I was 9. I went to my dad for some extra money and he said, son, did you clean the garage? I said, yeah. Did you clean the house? Yeah. Your room clean? Yeah. Did you do the laundry? Yeah. Did you do the front yard and the backyard and mowing and edging? Yeah. Did you get the gutters? Yeah. Did you sweep this? Yeah. I said, well, Dad, I want to do something else. He said, there is nothing else. You're going to have to go to the neighbors. So I had to go door to door and walk neighbor to neighbor to see what I could find that could be of service to people and ask if I could do service and get rewarded for it. And my dad gave me that gift of learning how to be an entrepreneur. And at 9, I had my own first company.
Oh, amazing. So why is a cause like this so important to support and give to? I know a lot of people who are listening into this call, John, have no idea where Zimbabwe is. It is so far removed from where they are.
Zimbabwe's on the news right now. I mean, you're talking about a potential transformation there, depending on what goes on in this election there. It's all over the news in South Africa. That's where I'm at. And giving to that and starting like that, we have the possibility, if we can get a new election in there, a new leader in there, we have the possibility of setting things in motion in Zimbabwe that's historical. And I think that this is the time. And if the more that's catalyzed, the more we make history here. This is a historical event going on right now with this election, and if we can get this new leader in there, we've changed history, and giving and starting that will be a great investment. So this will be one of the best investments in time.
Thank you so much for that, John. I'm really excited about what's going on at home. There's been a lot of tension around the elections, a lot of anxiety.
I got interviewed today by Business Today, which is a newspaper here, and the lady who was the interviewer did the biography on the new person running against Mugabe. And she was saying some amazing things about this man. They've tried to kill him, they've attacked him, they've tried to undermine everything and everything else. But he is determined and he's dedicated and he's doing everything he can to try to bring a new democracy to Zimbabwe like it hasn't been. And if people can support him and make sure that this is an accountable election, the truth will come through. And there'll be a new transformation there. And then all of a sudden, all the investments that we can do and the giving we do will give more than ever. I mean, it'll just be a chain reaction. That country will transform if we can do that.
And I'm excited about that, John. I mean, personally, I grew up in Zimbabwe. I got out of poverty because my parents managed to get me an education. And this is the whole reason why I formed the Africa Life Education Foundation, because I've seen the impact of what education can do on a people. And it's exciting for me, as you're saying,